Hey guys, what's up, it's Zyphon here, and welcome back to another episode of Warframe Playing Like a Pro. And in today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the one and only Atomos secondary weapon. Alright guys, quick apology. Last episode the audio didn't seem to sync up. No idea why that was. I must have messed up during editing, or something must have happened during the YouTube processing process, so I don't really know. And also apologies if you guys hear like a drill or something in the background. My kitchen's being done and I can't really do anything about it, so hopefully you don't hear it, and I'll try to do my best to sort of like make it go away. But yeah, let's get on with the video. So Atomos is a 4-forma weapon. It's pretty good. I like to call it the hot glue gun because that's kind of what it squirts out, or you can, you know, use your dirty imagination to think about something else. But for the reference of this video, we're going to call it a hot glue gun, and it's going to squirt out that. Yeah, so Hornet Strike, Barrel Diffusion, Lethal Torrent for our main damage, and then we're just throwing on a whole bunch of elements. I like throwing on the status. Obviously you could form a little bit more to throw on your 90%, but because the status really helps this weapon out to a degree, because it's already got like pretty low stats in terms of it doesn't have any IPS, it's only got, you know, whatever elements you throw on, I think status is more or less the way to go. So, you know, it's not a horrible weapon. It's definitely one of the better weapons in the secondary category, but it's not like your top tier. It's not like the Cyanoid Gamma Core. It's not like your Vacor Marlock or anything like that there, because it's just, you know, it's not that. It's a low to mid tier sort of weapon that you're going to be using. Of course, it can kill level 130 light armored units pretty easily, but it's not going to kill those heavy units like the heavy gunners or the bombards. It might take like 1 or 2 clips to actually finish those guys off. So this is our Corrosive and Heat build, and that's all I'm going to be showing in this video, for the simple fact that it really depends, because you start off with base heat damage, right? So we go ahead, tab out of this, and then go back in. You see we have heat damage, so you have to build around this heat damage to a degree. So your first mod slot that you'd be going into here is this one here. So if you say you wanted to make radiation damage, you'd be throwing on our electric mod. So our electric mod would be Convulsion. You throw that there on there, and there you go, you have your radiation damage. And then you'd have to throw on a heat mod right beside that there to keep that radiation damage. But the thing is, if I were to throw, let's say, our pistol pestilence beside that, it would make corrosive damage, because it's beside one another in the modding section, and then that would make my heat damage, if you get what I mean. So you can then build radiation damage from that. So you have corrosive. Well, you can't actually, because you can't. Yeah, that would just give you more damage to your corrosive. But you know what I mean. You can make a basically obscene amount of elemental combos with this weapon, because it gives you that base heat damage. So you can make blast, radiation, corrosive, and fire, whatever it may be. You can go ahead and do it with this weapon. So for the sake of this video, like I said, we're going to be going with our corrosive build. So basically all you want to do is build your corrosive, put on your free dual stat elemental mods, and then build your 90% for your corrosive to deal more damage versus the heavier units, like so. And then we throw on Convulsion right here, and then there you go. That's basically how you mod this weapon. Pretty simplistic, right? So let's go ahead and use this versus a heavy gunner first, because that's obviously the one that you guys want to see. That's a Butcher Flynn, not a heavy gunner. So let's go ahead and spawn him in. Put him up on our Valbin cage, or our Bastille, whatever you want to call it. Okay, didn't hit him at all. I'm pro at this game. I'm super pro. There we go. Alright, so just like holding down the trigger in this guy's head. You're not going to deal a lot of damage. You're mainly relying on the corrosive procs here to strip that damage away, and then let the fire damage steal the damage to the health. But it's still decent, you know. There'd be weapons which don't even do anything of the sort to people like this, or enemies like this, you know. So that's about 2.5 magazines to kill this guy. That's okay, you know. That's not great, but it's okay. Whenever you're going up against like a lighter unit, like a regular Lancer or a Butcher or something, you're going to deal a hell of a lot more damage. Just for comparison, spawn a level 130 Butcher, and this guy's just going to drop, you know. So he's just going to die instantly. Like that, more or less, you know. So pretty good weapon for the lighter armored units, but for the heavy armored units, don't even bother. Let's try out going with a radiation build, just for the sake of, you know, radiation build. So radiation build, if you want to deal the most damage versus a bombard, you'd be throwing on radiation and cold, right? So let's go ahead, throw on our jolt beside our heat, and then throw on a scorch, and then throw on our cold down, which is frostbite. And then we throw in our Convulsion, and, well, actually, hold on. We'll throw on our Primed Heated Charge, because I know you guys like to get at me for not having that on. And then spawn in our corrupted bombard right here. So here we go. Simulate. Through this gate. You get him? Nice. Easy. There we go. Gone first time. So, you know, he's going to die a lot faster because we sort of doubled up on the elements to kill him. So we're basically doing 100% extra damage versus this guy. So he's going to die a hell of a lot faster. So, you know, pretty good. About two and a quarter, I guess, for killing him. He's just kind of burning right now. So it's a pretty good weapon, you know. I'm not going to sit here and say the weapon's bad. The weapon is mediocre. It's not top tier by any means. It's not going to be your Vacorn Marlock, which is going to one-shot. You know, it's not going to be your Cyanide Gamma Core, which has insane DPS or anything like that there. It's just going to be one of those weapons which is, it's good for a beginning player. You can pick it up and it'll take you in the late game decently, but you never rely on this weapon because this weapon is not going to carry you into extreme late game. You're not going to be able to go into a sortie and perform it insanely well. You're not going to carry your team with this weapon unless you're using something like Nova, let's say, for example. So we brought in Nova, whole different story, because you're able to basically apply that damage reduction to said enemies, or not damage reduction, but you know, they take more damage from your weapons because you've applied an ability to them. So the resistance reduction, or whatever you want to call it. It's just, let's dodge this this thing right here. But you know, you're able to kill them a lot faster because they're slow. You're basically putting yourself at an advantage, and they take more damage from your weapons and stuff because of the Warframe abilities. Like, I don't think that people really understand how important Warframe abilities are in making your weapon deal a lot of damage, because some people go in their false illusion, like they take a weapon and they're like, oh yeah, but I can kill level something 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 with this weapon, even though it's statistically pretty crap. And the majority of where your damage output is coming from is because of your Warframe ability, reducing armor, or, you know, giving the enemies, making them more susceptible to damage or something like that there. Because there was a guy that commented on one of my videos before whenever we were talking about Exalted Blade Excalibur, and he was pretty, like, defending over his sort of method of testing Exalted Blade, right? So he was going like invisible, and he's taking Exalted Blade into the Simulacrum right here, and he was using a status build. Now, we made the video about Excalibur, and it was like, okay, you build for crit, you put your melee mods for crit on the weapon, and he was going up and he was killing the enemy, and he was getting the yellow numbers, and he was like, okay, I have a status build, but I'm critting a lot anyway. But he wasn't actually critting a lot. The reason that he was getting those high numbers is because the enemy was unaware of his position. Like, he didn't understand that, you know, there was an unaware bonus. So I can go ahead and demonstrate that quickly, actually, if I go ahead and look at my my war, which should have the right build on it. I should always keep that in my config C. Yep, that's right. So let's go ahead and take this here off. So what he was doing is he was getting all of his energy, and then he was going ahead and spawning in. Well, I have a Crucible build on, so we're going to go ahead and spawn in the Heavy Gunner, simulate. And what he was doing is he's going into Exalted Blade, and then he was stunning the enemy. And then because the enemy was stunned, he was getting those yellow numbers all the time. You see, I never ever got a regular colored number there, you know. There was no white numbers, it was all yellow. And the reason for that being is because it isn't actually all crit damage. Some of that is unaware damage as well. So it's like, you know, not everything is what it seems. I definitely think they should change that and make the unaware damage like a different color. Like maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say red. I don't know what color they can make it. Maybe orange or something. I have no idea, but it just depends, because I don't know, maybe the guy was colorblind. I don't know. If the guy was colorblind, then, you know, I have no idea. But, you know, that's basically it. You know, there's nothing else really to say other than you're down. Okay, let's just to prove my point even more here. Let's go ahead and take off my my crit mods, right? So we have no crit mods on. So yeah, yeah, you rely on your abilities a lot whenever it comes to dealing damage and stuff. So let's go ahead and stun him, and then you see they're all gonna be yellow. You know, they're all yellow. So there you go. It's just proving to you guys that you rely on your abilities a lot in terms of dealing damage to enemies. And some people, for some reason, they don't actually realize that. Now, what did I take off there? I took off Berserker and I took off Organ Shatter. So there we go. Obviously, you can throw True Steel on there if you like, but you know, it's personal preference. You do what you want to do. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to really maximize the damage that your Warframe is doing, you can bring a weapon, or you can bring, not your Warframe. If you want to maximize the damage that your weapon is doing, bring a Warframe, which will buff you up. Bring Banshee, bring, let's see, Mirage, bring Frost, Saren. They all have, like, augment mods, which might buff, you or your team. You know, Rhino has his Roar, Saren has a buff, Mirage has a buff, Frost has a buff. Banshee is probably one of my personal favorites because, you know, you just get to murder stuff. I like this Banshee color scheme a lot more because I just think it looks better. So let's go ahead and bring up the Atomos. Go ahead, put this here on, take off the War, and even though the War still looks badass, but that's besides the point. And then we'll spawn in, I guess we'll do the Heavy Gunner, I don't know. Yeah, let's go ahead and spawn him. I'll probably die instantly, but what you can do is you just spam Sonar. And then all the weak points will be highlighted, and you'll deal a lot of damage to this guy. Where is he at? Ring around the rosies, XD. Okay, I say you'll deal a lot of damage. I'm not really dealing a lot of damage. But if you're using a bullet weapon, you basically just one-shot this guy right now. I don't know why this isn't. Okay, there we go. See? Hitting the weak spot. And he lost a lot of health, so he died pretty quickly. So you're really reliant on your Warframe abilities to deal damage in this game. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Whenever I do the testing of weapons, I'm doing it with, you know, just the weapons raw numbers. I'm not trying to keep or take Warframe abilities into consideration, although there is a possibility that whenever I put an enemy into the Bastille, that they will be unaware. I'll try to, you know, not make that happen as much. Obviously, I'll point that out in the video if it does happen, so yeah, that is pretty much it for this episode of Warframe Playing Like a Pro. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button below. And you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.